Okay, trying again. I don't see the crash part here, so maybe. Let me go ahead and pull it up in here. Excellent. Or maybe not. It's not broadcasting me. Okay, there we go. Yeah. Good. No, me. All right. So, good morning, afternoon. Yeah, that. Unless you're in California, in which case I guess it's still morning. Yeah, we're gonna try again with sculpting the ogre and the troll. So, we're gonna go ahead and kick it straight over to the programs, DAZ Studio. Alright, so this is my basic human geometry. Yeah, just basic human. Ordinary Joe. And what we're going to do is we're going to start with a troll. It's Minotaur and troll, yeah. We're going to start with a troll because all I got to do is one slider. Now the thing is, I based this morph off of a combination of every edition that came to mind for Advanced D&D. The current edition has the pretty much the build. Earlier editions had the more, the longer nose and the pointier chin, and room for a couple tusks here. But yeah, it's a combination, kind of a combination of the versions of trolls from different editions of D&D. We're going to deal with a lot of the other stuff, especially, like the warts and that, when we get into sculpting. Also, might give him bowling ball shoulders, this big old massive deltoids here. Maybe make the forearms even thinner. Also, what the heck? Yeah, we also need to move the forearm bits here. Somehow they got warped during the translation. So anyway, that's the basic troll. Let me make sure that I didn't... Yeah. I just wanted to make sure it wasn't warping too badly on the... But now I need some questions answered by the man I'm sculpting this for. So actually for that I actually need to poke my head back into here. And... yeah, so anyway, go ahead and pop back into the program. this is my basic troll. Now the thing about the troll is he's already scaled. If I come over here and I load in another male figure, bring him forward, you can see that the troll is about 9 feet. Maybe close to 10. Whereas some of the other ones, for example the Minotaur, is not yet scaled. And I've got the Minotaur set up split between a more human body plan, human leg, rather, and a more digitigrade leg. But this particular client prefers the human-like leg ending in hooves. That's the Minotaur. I'd have to scale him up once I'm done, you know. But the troll is already scaled up. And yes, this does mean that if I want him to be a little bit shorter and stockier, I can just add in some dwarf. If I want him taller and thinner, add in some elf. If I want him to be more Hulk-like, add in muscular. Skinnier and softer, I drop the muscular to 0. Okay. You can see the difference between this state and that state. I can also change his proportions, have a smaller torso here. Make him even thinner by adding in some of the undead morph. Reduce the size of those ears a bit. Lower the position of the mouth, raise it. All of these are things that I can do thanks to having used this. Can even make him a little bit older, give him a rounder face or softer face, and well, Bruce doesn't really change much on somebody who's already got those same features heavily exaggerated. And hello! Do we have any preference on weapons, clothing for the troll? And yes, this is the morph I created for the troll. I combined, you know, he's got some of the facial features of the first and second edition. He's got the hunchback of most editions, and other editions mixed in. So kind of, this is an all edition AD&D troll. But will he have a weapon, or is he relying on those nice sharp talons? Anything besides a loincloth? Will he have long stringy hair or bald? You're the client, so I need to sculpt it to your preferences. Loincloth and a club. Okay, so what we're going to do then is we're going to go to mesh resolution, go to base, we're going to export them. New folder, props, troll fit. Troll fit is not to be confused with CrossFit. In 3D Studio Max, we're going to import that troll fit. Alrighty. And what we're going to do is we're going to optimize it the reason we're optimizing it is this is just to fit the placement for the club. So all we need is this, 1200 polygons. Green's good for this guy, so we're going to go ahead and show frozen and gray, turn it off, and freeze him. Now, one of the most common things you'll find for a club used by something like a troll is an uprooted tree. It's alright. So the uprooted tree. The big question will be, has he modified it? Or has someone else modified it for him? So, first thing we're going to do is I'm going to take a cylinder. I'm going to put it about there. Bring it forward. And we're going to change the height segments to 1 because I prefer placing them, but the cap segments to 2 and the sides to 10. And then we're going to convert it to an edible poly. Okay. I'm going to kind of grab it there. Now, one of the first things we're going to do is we're going to give it one extra piece there. One more edge loop. We're going to select all these, make them slightly bigger. Just slightly. Then we're going to make another one in the middle of here. We're going to select all these, make them a good bit bigger, but then it slopes back down to the base, which is only slightly bigger. We're then going to pull out the end, because from here is where we're going to be pulling our roots. So we need it kind of rounded. Right now it looks like Captain Caveman's Club. See, when I switch them all to ones the smoothing groups, yeah. But when I get it into Sculpt, we're going to be pulling out pulling out the roots from this uprooted tree. We're also going to be giving some chaos to this end, because he didn't cut off the rest of the tree, he broke it off. Okay. So now, spikes and or other nasty bits, straps, what have you. Well, first, I'm going to select these right here. We're going to give it some noise. And it's entirely going to be, let's see, no, not that one. Not that one. Yeah, there we go, although not that strong. Now we look at it from behind. Okay, a couple of those vertexes are a bit too much. Let's change the seed. Yeah, there we go, that's a lot better. Collapse all. Now we're going to select the outer edge and loop. And then we're going to chamfer it just a little. Or just once, rather, I should say. And then mesh smooth once, twice. We're going to refine that when we get it into Sculpt. Okay, now. No, stretch. Oh, there we go. That's what I was needing. All right. So one thing it is going to have at least one spot where another similar tree has been ripped out. Actually, in that case, what I need to... Yeah. Undo the collapse all. And edit, clone, copy. And this one is going to be pulled down a bit, just so I can keep it separate from the other. Now we're going to go to the noise, and we're going to change the seed so that we get a different result. That looks good. Once we've done that, we're going to shrink it. We're also going to grab these and pull them even closer. And then, yeah, we need to shrink it just a bit more. Now, it's time to play a little bit. We're going to bring it up like that. Bring it down. Bring it over here. And we're going to grab these and rotate just a bit. Actually, let's pull it out. We do need to make it a little bit bigger from here. Alright, and then select these, put them in there. When it comes time, that will get fused into one piece, so it will look more like a tree that's been ripped out of the ground. Now, we go ahead, collapse that one, and we're going to attach a smaller chunk. And we're going to select the edges and loop. Then chamfer at 0.01. And mesh smooth once, twice. Okay, now we have our basic club. Now, I'm going to bring in 2 swords. Why? Because they were hammered through to be spikes on his club. And these are going to be big swords. These are going to be great swords. And not just good swords, they're great swords. See, did I put them in here? Alright, let's bring this one in. Now let's make them just regular long swords. Great swords are too big for this. Let's see, let's go with the Crusader right hand. And let's center that. Now, rotate it 45 degrees. Rotate it 90 degrees. Rotate it. Let's get it kind of awkward here. we're going to pull it up to here and put it right there. Actually, let's rotate that a bit. We're going to rotate the whole thing so it doesn't matter, but yeah, put it there. And we're also going to remove the pommel. And once we get it into ZBrush, we're going to be removing the crossguard. We're also going to be touching up that sword to be a bit more beaten down. There. Now, we're just going to attach, actually let's slide it further back down a bit because we've got to have room for some straps up here. Put it there. And then we're going to attach it like this. And we're going to rotate it until that sword is roughly parallel with his arm. Because he swings to hit with the sword part of his club, not the broken tree branch part. Okay, we can bring it a bit further back. So we're going to select these two pieces and Control I. Bring it a bit further back. That's a bit more blatantly. You can wrap it around the trunk better. Okay. Now, File, Export Selected, Commissions, Monsters, Props, Wavefront OBJ. This is going to be Ouchie Club. And we pop back into Daz Studio. Before we do anything, what we're going to do is we're going to actually load in another prop into here. We're going to load in an arming sword. That was just to get the hand in position. Now we're going to File, Import, Props, Ouchie Club. Okay, now we go to the back view. And we're going to need to move it slightly to be centered in the grip. And then we also need to go back to perspective view. And we need to relax the grip a little bit, because this is a bigger item than a sword hilt, even for his size. So, well, first of all, let's go ahead and restore him back to high resolution. Now, we're going to take that right hand, we're going to expand from selected. So we have access to all the fingertips, that's all we need. We're going to start off. Let me check. Alright, we're going to start off with all, well, those. We're going to unbend them a bit. And that's pretty good. Yeah, that's pretty good for the fingers. That's pretty much all they need. Now the pinky needs a little bit different because it is so much smaller. So we're going to unbend both of these. There. And that thumb needs to come out a little bit because he's embedding his there. That's better. And thus his hand is holding on to his club. Get get some soda real quick. Okay, then he needs a loincloth. Do I have a loincloth in here? No. I have a robe or tunic that could be turned into a loincloth, but no. It would actually be better to go ahead. Oh, let's select that right hand again. Close up the fingers. So I can take the ouchie club and parent it to the right hand, so when we get to posing, it doesn't leave the club behind. Alright, next up, we're actually going back to here. We're getting something called the drapery. It's also known as just a simple rectangle that's been articulated. We're going to bring it up to the waist. And we are then going to expand it. Okay, now we're going to take all of the individual pieces and we're going to Y-scale them to shrink them up to where the loincloth would be. Don't have to worry about behind because there'd be, just basically straps going down that way. And now we got to pose it. So first things first, we're going to kind of bend out just a little bit. Oh, we can also kind of bring this in just a little bit. Oh, that's a bit too far. There. We're going to start with 2. We're going to kind of bend it out just a little. 3 through 7 is going to bend down just a little. And these 3 are going to kind of bend out just a little. Any other posing for that loincloth, which by the way we are parenting to the hip. Any other posing for that loincloth, we'll have to wait until after the pose itself. Now when it comes time to sculpt, we're just going to kind of pull this section of the forearm back online. But basically what's going to happen here is we need to figure out what pose would we give a big old troll with a big old club. Especially one that is, not so much massive as tall and lanky and intimidating. Well, one of the first things is he's going to be roaring. And we need to get him less kind of smiley. So we're going to grab the mouth corners and bend both of them down. And let's then we're going to bend that one out a little, this one out a little. I'm going to take the brow, we're going to twist it down and bend that one down. This one we're going to twist, but raise up. All right. There we go. Nice roary mouth. We're going to need to pretty much remove the interior structures and redo them. But anyway, one of the key things about making a pose is that the hips and the chest, the hips and the shoulders should never be parallel. What we're going to do with him, we know we're going to need a 50mm base. So I'm going to import a regular 25mm base, which I've got some under here. Base flat. And we're just going to take it and we're going to 200% X and Y scale it. Oh, not Y. Z scale. And then we're going to rotate it 180 degrees on the Z so that it's under him, because we don't need him. Yeah. That tells us how much room we have to work with on posing him. So once again, we're going to start with the hip. We're going to expand the figure. The whole figure. But we're going to close the right hand because we've already posed the right hand. Alright. And now we pose the troll. And that's going to start off, we're going to use the bend. We're going to bend it forward. He's going to be in the middle of running with one foot back just on the toe, the other foot up, but the hand without the... Oh! Carlton? I'm working. Yeah, you just wanted to see all the people out there. What people there are. Kim. Velcro Kitty. Oh. I've got to put you down now, okay? I'm in the middle of something, alright, buddy? Okay. Yeah, I'm putting you down right now, alright? Fuzz, bud. Go. Good boy. Alright, anyway. This also means that his hips are kind of rotating like this and leaning that way. Actually, let's reverse that. Yeah, let's reverse the side to side and the twist. I can actually pull it back just a little bit that way, because what's going to happen is this leg select both of the torsos and twist them that way. Okay, now we're going to bring the leg back side to side. We're going to twist it a little bit because its direction of movement is straightforward. We can pull it back just a little. Human legs don't actually bend very far backwards. Actually, let's go ahead and select that. Yeah, let's tilt it more this way and a lot more forward. Go to a front view. Let's bring this all the way forward so that right now those toes are the only thing that are actually on the base. And we're going to bend them and twist them so they're close to flat. Control D. Frame back out. Okay, that's a bit too far on the kick forward. But it gives the impression. Now we're going to take the whole figure and we're going to kind of translate them back so that toe is just barely on the base. We're going to bring the foot back to here, but we're going to bend it. And we're going to twist it like that, because it's in mid-stride. He's even curling his toes back. Then he's going to bend forward from the waist. And a little bit of side to side on the chest. That way. And then for this hand, we're going to be very careful, because what we're going to do is we're going to make a partial fist. Select all of the fingers. Bend. -90. And then we're going to close up the thumb. And all right, so we got our fist. Now we got to bend it bring the arm forward, so it's like he's got his fist on the ground with that long reach. So we're going to bring the whole thing forward like this. We're going to bend it at the elbow. Then we're going to side to side the arm. And then rather than pulling it out of the base, we're going to get it out of the base by unbending the chest until we get a nice go back to the chest, and yeah, about there. Frame back out. And then we need to get the club pose ready. So first thing that's going to happen is we're going to twist the entire shoulder assembly. And then the forearm and the hands. Oh, that's right, I forgot. I have to change one thing real quick. I really need to get in here and remove that entirely. Thank you. And we're gonna bend. Oh, no side by side on the forearm. Thank you. And then if we make that club visible, all right. different tactic, trying to make him look like he's in motion. All right, one thing we need to do is we need to bring it kind of forward and online. And then we're going to just enough to be even with those. Yeah. And then we got to bring that head up. So we're going to start with the neck. We're going to bend backwards like this. Neck and head we're going to twist like that. And then the head alone we're going to bend it back even more and side to side it like that. Then we need to side to side the neck. Okay, so there's, actually we can now take this, all right, let's bring it back a bit more, and we're going to side to side the hand a bit. Yeah. There we have our running pose. We can delete this base because it's not needed anymore. We can actually bring him forward a bit, and that will help with the feeling of motion because he's further forward on his base, like he's lunging off of his base to get to the players. We can also take this and untwist it a bit until that puts out of the other leg. Yeah. That's too coordinated looking. Let's make it a little bit more awkward by bringing the leg out like that. And twisting it again. Yeah. All right, let's bend it even more. He's going to have massive fangs. And let's make the jaw wider. Let's go X scale that jaw. Okay. Now we go down to where the drapery is. No, wrong button. Oh, come on. There we go. Okay, what we're going to do, we're going to zoom in. We're going to start tilting this drapery to fit the running motion that we're doing. I'm going to start with number 2, because number 1 is pretty much being grabbed by the straps he's going to have around his waist. Numbers 2 through 6 are actually going to twist a little bit. No, that way. They're also going to go side to side that way. And then from 7 on, it's going to bend back towards the leg. Except for 8 is going to bend, well, 10 is going to bend back the other way. That's because, you know, flipping in the breeze. there will be like a cup underneath that will cover up any potential biological embarrassments. That's just for general positioning. Okay, same thing will go for his hair. I will admit I am a huge fan of dynamic poses. Okay, that is our troll. File, export, Monster Sculpt. That is going to be Troll Bod. Accept. File, export, Troll Club. Accept. And export selected. Troll L cloth. Okay. Now we pop over ZBrush. Okay. And what we're going to do here is we're going to start importing those troll parts. Troll bod, mirror. Okay, then we're going to insert, import troll loincloth, insert polymesh, import troll club. And this is where we left off in that studio. We're going to hide the club and the loincloth and work on just the body right now. Now, like I said, we're going to have to get rid of where those teeth are. So what we're going to do is we're going to simply polygroups, auto group. We're going to mask off the teeth or the inner mouth bits, and then we're going to hide that. Oh, and let's go ahead and go display properties double so you can see the inside of the mouth. Now we're going to geometry, modify topology, delete hidden. And we're going to make custom teeth for him. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to export this. Go back to props. We're going to call this Troll Fit 2. Actually, we don't need to. Because what we're going to do, well, it's going to hide the drapery. We're going to go back to here. We're going to delete that. Unfreeze all and delete the decimated guy. And then just re-import our troll fit. Then we're going to just select the liner on the neck. Split. Select the body and delete. And here is our basic troll. Actually, let's select here, invert, delete. This is where our troll's head is. So what we're going to do, we're going to make his teethies, as well as an inner mouth prop. So, I'm going to select there. And actually, let's cap holes. Deselect that. And detach that. Just because I need to see what's going on there. Okay, yeah, those are... Okay, unhide all. Now, we're going to take this sucker. We're going to give him a wireframe material. And we're going to make it green. And we're going to make him green. And we're going to freeze select it, or freeze selected. Oh, that was too, yeah, unfreeze all. I need to make it just a little bit brighter so I can actually see it. There we go. That is our troll head that we're going to be making our teeth for. We've got to make 2 separate props. Technically 3. So what we're going to... Actually, let's unfreeze it, because what we're going to do is we're going to select, just starting with this edge, and then we're going to ring down. And we are going to... Oh, I got to do it from the... create shape from selection. Because that'll give us our inside lip. Then we're going to do the same thing here. And we're going to ring back to about there and create shape from selection. And then we're going to hide the head. And these shapes are going to be a different color. We're going to make these pink. No, that's not bright enough to see. We're going to make them bright pink. And let's go to this one. Spline. There. Invert to select and delete. Then this sucker. Select there, invert, delete. And we're going to attach that one. Then we're going to change that color again, that's because it was too pink. We're going to make it more of a dark color. Undo show frozen in gray and freeze selected. There. We have a nice spline that shows us where the teeth are. All right, we're going to give him more of the sharp, lungy fangs, and those are actually best made from a 10-segment sphere. We're going to put the bigger ones here on the bottom. I'm going to bring this up to there, bring it back down, and we are going to convert it to an edible poly, and we're going to pull them out there. Actually, let's pull it all out, and we're going to make it a little bit longer. There we go. We're going to make 1/2 and then mirror it. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to grab it and we're going to bring it around. Actually, what we need to do first, we need to make it a very bright color so we can see it. Yeah, there we go. Grab it and we're going to bring it around to there. And we're going to shrink it a little bit. It's a troll, so it's better for him to have scraggly teeth. And this one we can actually make a little bit longer. And this one is going to go back behind it. And we're going to shrink it a little bit because we want it to be not as big as the teeth in front. And then we're going to bring it around. These are all going to be pretty much the same size, just maybe kind of shifted up and down to give the impression of random heights. Okay, I'm just going to, like, this one's going to go down a little bit, so's this one. This one's going to go up a little bit. And this one's going to go down a little bit. There we go. That's the teeth on the bottom side of the mouth on that side. We're going to now select this buddy, and we're going to attach the other spheres. And then we're coming over here to Effect Pivot, and we're going to make its pivot at 0. And we're going to mirror it. Copy. Then reset transform and normal. Collapse all. Then we're going to drag it up. Copy. But because, whoop, no. We need to attach them together so that they're one piece. There we go. Then we're going to drag it up. We're going to select both of the big ones and we're going to shrink them a little bit. And we're going to rotate that 180 degrees. Now the reason why we did not do the actually, let's go ahead and delete the excess. The reason why we did not do the reset transform with these is simply because this was not mirrored. We're going to delete this one right here, select these and kind of bring them forward halfway. The same way we're going to grab this fang and bring it back over here. Then we're going to mirror them. And since we mirrored, reset selected, and then normal, collapse all. And we're going to attach the other upper teeth. Now, when we unhide all and we turn off the wireframe, you can see that the teeth all fit inside the mouth. However, it might be a good idea to make them longer. And then selecting all of the teeth, inflate them. Now, why are we inflating them? Or push in this case? Make them look a little bit fatter and a little bit more nasty. Collapse all. Okay, zoom out, and we're going to hide the head again. And zoom in. We're going to select. We're going to unfreeze all. And we're going to select our... Now, that's the teethies. Last thing to do is we need to make an inner mouth prop for this guy. And what we're going to do is we're going to make it centered on X. We're going to make it only... No. Yeah, there we go. And we're going to make it only there. Edible poly. We're going to select here and bring it way forward to here. We're actually going to put these behind the teeth and practically touching. And here, there. We're also going to select these, connect, two segments, and deselect ones in back because that's not what we want, just so that we can take this and narrow it a bit as a just-in-case phenomenon. Okay. If we cap holes on it, no. Okay. Now we're going, I know what we're going to do. We're going to select all of the there except for that. We're going to bridge okay, except for all of that. Then we're going to bridge two segments. Okay, there we go. And then and then finally cap holes there. We're going to unhide the head. And we're then going to taper it. There we go. And we're going to rotate it a little bit so that it stays near the top lip. You'll see why in a second. Now, we're going to delete the head. We're going to select these edges and loop. We're going to deselect the front and those edges. And we're going to chamfer them at 0.01 and give it a mesh smooth. Collapse all. File, export selected, under prop still, good. Inner mouth. Done. Take those, file, export selected, teeth lower. And this one, File, export selected, teeth, upper. Okay. Just had to peek to make sure everything was going right. Alright, then we come back into Daz Studio. Everything's hidden. Everything's deselected. So we're going to load in a new person. And we're going to add on his troll morph. And we're going to select his head so we can move in. Now, we're going to file, import, those inner mouth, file, import, teeth lower, file, import, teeth upper. And what we're going to do is we're going to take the inner mouth and teeth upper and parent them to the head, then the teeth lower and parent them to the jaw. Alright. Now, we need to go to props. Select the teeth lower, file, export, no, not export, file, save as, support asset, figure prop assets. This is going into props, troll, bottom, teeth, accept, inner mouth, or not export, save as, troll, inner mouth, accept, and then the teeth upper. That's 3 times in a row I did that. File, save as, support asset, figure prop assets. Roll, top, teeth. Okay, now we're going to select our buddy here and delete him. Go back up to him and we're going to load in troll bottom teeth, troll inner mouth, troll top teeth. And then we're going to make him visible just to make sure they loaded properly. Okay, what we can do now is we're going to take those inner teeth, or not the inner mouth, the teeth lower, and we're going to pull them up. To there. Teeth upper, we're going to pull them down to there. And then I'm just going to export all of this. Actually, let's take that sucker. We're going to pull it back a little bit, down a little bit, back a little bit more, and then rotate them forward a bit more. Yeah, there we go. And then we're going to export that whole thing. File, export, troll, teeth. That was so that they would load in place, and now I've got those added to my prop library. And back to ZBrush. And now we're going to insert polymesh. I'm going to import troll teeth. Frame on the teeth. Okay. Now, we are going to shrink that mouse a bit. Polygroups, auto group. Okay. Now we're going to take this, that thing, and we're going to scale it. Oh, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to use the move tool. The move topological. And we're going to make this bigger, grab it, move it out to the side, grab this side, move it out, go to geometry and subdivide it, grab the front center and pull it forward. Grab the bottom center and pull it backward. Okay. Now we're going to go back to the teeth. We're going to go to deformation, and we're going to inflate them even more. Okay, then we're going to geometry and subdivide them. Okay, that was a bit much, so go back to deformation. We're going to deflate them just a little, not that much. There we go, and there we have the teeth for our troll. And the inner mouth to keep it from, for when we Dynamesh it. We do need to go ahead and grab the sides here and go as far over as we can to kind of block off the inner mouth. Okay. There we go. That's the inside mouth of our troll. And we're going to go ahead and merge down and give it another Dynamesh, just because, or not Dynamesh, but another subdivision. Now, what we need to do now is things like fixing the wrists. And then it's going to be time to add things like as my brain shuts down. Time to add things such as warts, sores, scars, our various skin imperfections. Okay. Okay, there we go. Frame out. Yeah, that kind of fixes that wrist issue that we had. We can tweak some more as we add things. Now, starting here on out, we're going to be using we're doing is we're going to go to geometry. We're going to subdivide it till it's a couple million, and then Dynamesh it at 1280. Okay. Now, while I'm looking at it, we're going to start off by smoothing out this underneath the lip here. Yeah, there we go. Now, we're going to start off with our oh, we need to kind of tweak that a little bit. So we're going to dam standard for this. Let me go ahead and get a stroke over here. Turn on lazy mouse and make it go off. Now go over here. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. And we're going to come under there. We're going to smooth that. Then we're going to cut here. There we go. And that kind of saves that. We're going to kind of smooth out this area here. And actually we're going to go to inflate. And drop the intensity down a little. Inflate this area. Bam. Now I can smooth that out. No, because I got this. In there. That's all cured. Dynamesh is a wonderful tool. Just don't abuse it, because you will get weird effects if you do. And too many cases of Dynamesh, and you'll have to go back in and re-outline the eyes and things like that, which is why I have not yet gone in and fused in the teeth. Now as we look at the neck, we can see that there's some issues here. We're going to use clay buildup with a round alpha to deal with those. Gonna kind of build back up the muscle and its counterpart over here. And then we're going to come over here, and is there a similar? Yes, there is. There's a similar issue coming down this way. And bring that, smooth that a bit, and then smooth under the chin, and we're going to make sure we have a esophagus following the line of the chin. Okay. And I'm going to smooth that. Looking on the back of the head, we're not going to worry too much about back here, because we are going to be putting hair on the back of his head. Not a lot, just a long stringy locks. But he's now 1.4 million. We're going to go to layer. Layer. And switch out for a spherical alpha. Change intensity to 100. And we're going to drag rect. Now why are we doing that? With a drag rectangle, we can make this any size we wanted. any size little boil that we need. And random is always going to be more appropriate for boils and sores than a consistent regular deposition from the excuse me, the drag dot side of things. You just need to kind of put some random ones mostly over areas that are, just rougher skinned in general, because they might not be boils. They might be, for all we know, scutes. Just areas of hardened, horny skin. It's just that they look like boils, because it adds to their disgusting appearance. Just adding some in random spots. One thing to notice is that you'll see I have 9 on this forearm. If I had 10, it won't look quite as random, because the human eye sees odd numbers as more inherently random than even ones. Okay, we're going to add a couple more over here. Yes, that was a rather large one I placed. That's good. Okay. Get some soda real quick. You need to put some on the thighs, mostly the outer thighs. We also need to come in with, before we do that, we need to come in with the clay build-up brush and build up in here, where those muscles are. Because they're bulging from being bent forward, they don't need that little drifting down that they're getting from the rigging. So, for example, let's smooth that out now. Okay. All right, there we go. That's nice. That gets rid of that little compression. We also kind of need to build up the butt just a little bit on the one that's going back and smooth it out, because we need it to be biologically accurate. That one's being flat, so it should be slightly bulgier than the one that's being stretched. But again, it's a troll, so we're also going to kind of smooth out the space between them, because it's going to have a bit of a like a jock strap back there. We're going to kind of build up this muscle a little bit more, because again, it's extended, and so that muscle is contracted. Same token, we're going to kind of build up that calf muscle. And we're going to smooth that and build up this calf muscle. Okay. And now we need to go back to adding our warts in that. Hello, Zealous Hunter! So what did you learn just now? Yes, we do. It only works when it's a handful. It's not that we see odd as more, we see odd as more random. Even if it's just as randomly placed. For example, here we have 8. And I can see a pattern. 4, 3, 1. But if I come in over here and add in one more that's a bit larger, and it throws the whole pattern off. Now, if we have 2 that kind of overlap like that, the eye sees that as 1. Okay, now that I've got the warts on his arms and back, we're going to add a couple on his face. We're going to add the typical one on the nose that everyone sees, one on the brow. Instead of just giving him a beauty mark, we're giving him every beauty mark at the same time. And a couple of warts on the chin. Yay, trolls. Now, the next thing that we need to give him is we need to give him some scars. Now, there's 2 kinds of scars, fresh scars and old scars. Fresh scars tend to be swollen and bulgy and messy, and that's actually best done with the clay brush. And we're going to shrink this. And let's say we're going to put the fresh ones more around the legs, because he was fighting some humans recently. So he's going to put like a kind of a swollen and suppurated, not separated, bit there. And actually, let's, instead of clay, let's try one I didn't do before. It's in... There it is. Hide the light box, please. Hide the light box. Yeah, there we go. And just a little bit of smoothing. And then one that got kind of perilously close. Right here. And then give a little bit of smoothing, just to kind of and the one kind of coming down this way. And we smooth it. And while I'm looking at it, we're going to go to our damn standard brush, increase that intensity, and we're going to cut in the separation between the thigh and the calf. Yep, just to make sure it stays nice and distinct. Okay, there we go. We're going to put on another couple of these at random spots. These are fresh, kind of bulgy scars. And I'm going to put a couple. Now, we're going to put one along the inside of the forearm. he was fighting another troll and got slashed. Okay, frame out, zoom out, kind of move him around. And now let's give him a couple on his back. These are going to actually be old school. So what we're going to do is we're going to use clay buildup, but subtract. And we're going to use the alpha that was used for the flakes. Okay. Shrink it, increase the intensity, and we're going to smooth that. And smooth that. And then we're going to put a couple marks on, let's say, this arm. That could have been from a bite wound. And then we're going to just kind of smooth them out a bit. Yeah. These little scars. Let's give him a fresher scar. We're going to use the Orb Cracks brush for this. We're going to give him a recent cut. We need it deeper. We're going to have a recent cut on the eyebrow. We're also going to go ahead and use the slash brush, because I'm just noticing this. We're going to exaggerate some of the facial slashes. That's way too deep. We're going to exaggerate some of the facial slashes. Kind of smooth that just a bit. Using that to kind of reshape the jaw there. And there. Then we're going to give him another big shoulder wound with the Orb Crack brush. Oh, no. There we go. Now, get some next thing I'm going to add is actually going to be like a little bandage around his arm. I figure, why not? He knows somebody that put a bandage around his arm, even though he doesn't need it because he's a troll. So we're gonna kind of come here. No, let's just make it a regular armband. And we're going to extract 0.01, he is bigger than normal. That's too small. 0.015. Yeah, there we go. Accept, draw. Then select him and do that again to get rid of the masking. Now, geometry, Z-remesh. One. There. Okay. And we're going to use move and smooth to kind of make it more of an even strap. And yeah, there we go. And down here definitely comes out. And then shrink it down a bit and bring that smoothing down a lot, and not quite that much. Oh. There we go there. And here. Now we're going to subdivide it. And that's good. We're going to add one thing to it. We're going to add a buckle on it. Going to make sure the depth is 0. And the buckle is going to be facing that way. To be honest, this buckle is just me saying hi to Wapelius if he ever sees this. There we go, and then rotate it. And there we go. We got our buckle on his armband, although I can probably, I can come up here. There we go. Alright, so he's got a strap on his arm with a buckle just to say hi to Wapelius. James Wapple, if you don't know who that is. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to make the troll cloth visible. And it'll be time to actually make his clothing. So what we do is turn on transparency. We need to see where this is so we can draw it on. So we're going to go back to our standard brush. We're going to mask off where the straps and the back of this will be. So we're going to come around this way. And down that way. And then we're going to come up here. And we're going to extract that. That is our belt. And then we're going to grab here. We're going to grab a large move brush. And we're going to drag these corners into underneath the belt. There. There. And then in the middle a bit, yeah. Okay, now the belt, we're going to need to polish away the scar. So we're going to, oh, look at that, polish. Subtract, reduce the size, increase the intensity. And we're going to polish it away. That one little mark there can be left because, you know, hey, it's just the way it is. Now, we go back to our buddy. And he's not. Okay, excellent. So now we turn on transparency. Go back to standard. What we're going to do is we're going to come up under the leg. Actually, we need to shrink the mouse. We're going to come up under the leg like it's a there. Then we're going to come from here. We're going to come up that way and up. Oh, let's make it from here. Let's bring that across. And we turn off Lazy Mouse, make it a little bit bigger, and fill in all this area. Then we're going to extract it at roughly the same size as our belt. But because of its positioning, we need to do something to where it's coming over the top of the belt. So, we go to geometry. We're going to Dynamesh this at 256. And there we go. Alrighty. We're then going to smooth the top of it. And what that does, that rounds it off. I'm then going to go to clay buildup, subdivide this quite a bit, swap out for a regular alpha, and go back to add and 20. I'm just going to kind of pull it. A couple of these smaller ones. And a couple big ones. As we can see, that goes over the back of the belt. And we're actually going to, well, once I get these combined right here, we're now going to hit them with the Orb Cracks brush, slightly smaller, just to kind of emphasize that it's going around. Actually, that's annoying. Okay. There we go. And that's the position of his basic clothing. Alright. So now we're going to go to the troll cloth. We're going to make it mostly transparent so we can see what we're doing. And we're going to start off with the standard brush, but really big. And we're going to turn off the lazy mouse, but we're going to make it a little bit weaker. And we're going to too big. Then we're going to kind of pull it out here. Okay, now this we're going to subdivide and Dynamesh at 1280. Okay, we're going to go back to clay buildup. I'm going to shrink it down, and we're going to make first longer, more intense. No, bigger. But yeah, the human eye sees it's true. The human eye sees odd numbers as inherently more random than even ones. Now, it may not be just that it's odd. Prime numbers may be more effective, but I just know what I've experienced, and that's what I just mentioned. Okay, now, just in case, let's frame out all the way, get a nice view, and we're going to save that. Just make sure, and I'm getting some soda. Alrighty. Coming up on 2 hours now. Now what I'm going to do, because I'm going to be refining the wrinkles, is I'm going to go ahead and hide the body. I'm also going to re-dynamesh it. No, I'm not going to dynamesh it. I'm going to Z-remesh it. and then subdivide. All right. Now it's at boom. That should be enough. Now we're gonna smooth it a bit, just to get rid of some of the brush strokes from when it was pure. Okay, now we're going to slash. We're going to start off subtracting at a 30 with a lazy radius of 30. So it's going to be, first off, I'm going to have a cut from here, right there, and another one coming in under there. There. And then here. Then we're going to make it bigger. Add. Actually, no, we don't want it bigger. We want it stronger. Now, let's go to the butt floss. Whoop. Too big, and yeah. And then we're going to move kind of out. Move needs to be 50 intensity. There we go. Okay, loading. What's left? Hair. So what we're going to do is we're going to come over here to our troll body. We're going to zoom in a bit. We're going to switch to the normal brush, or the standard brush. Make it size 8. And we are going to draw on where its hair will be. Now, it will have a really nasty widow's peak. And male pattern baldness to the nth degree. Interrupted by that wart, or skewed, or whatever it ends up being. And by ends up being, I mean as decided by the person actually painting this. Okay, now we're going to extract this at 0.2. And I forgot to remove that. So we go to visibility, hide point. There we go. Thank you. Geometry, delete hidden. Thank you. Now we're going to dynamesh it at 256 and polish it 100. And then subdivide it. Because we're going to need a lot of polygons to do what I'm about to do. We go down to snake hook. Make it big. We're going to drag down. It needs to be bigger. So we're going to drag back and down. And pull that back out later. Ditto that. And that. Let's grab the move tool, make it a bit bigger. We're going to have to pull this in because it's too far away from the body. We're going to inflate it later. Pull it in this way, pull it out here. There. Okay. So there is our hair basic geometry. Only thing left to do is we need to pull that one right here off of the ear. And then we're going to subdivide a little bit. And then we're going to inflate it a little bit. So that we can dynamesh it again at 1024. Okay, and subdivide until we're about a, yeah. Now we're going to inflate. We're going to make it a lot bigger in draw size, but we're also going to zoom the focal shift down a little bit. And inflate things like this. And we're going to have to move the tip of that back against the body. There we go. Okay. And hello, Draconic Visions. I am making a big old troll. And you caught me at just the wrong time, because I'm going to have to pause for just a minute. Yep. Biological reasons. I've been sitting here for just over 2 hours. I'll be right back. Okay? Yeah, my internet was being worked on. I'll be right back. Okay, now back to work. What we need to do is we really need to make these, exactly, Zealous. We really need to make this hair look like hair. So we need to kind of zoom in. And we're going to clay buildup. We're going to shrink this down. Increase the lacy radius a little bit and increase the intensity quite a bit. Because this needs to be kind of scraggly, kind of nasty looking. But at the same time, we need to make it nasty looking without pulling it completely out of the figure. It's long, uncut hair, but it's long, uncut hair that is easily paintable. We got to remember, we're sculpting this for people who are playing a game who will want to paint these figures. So these figures will need to be easily paintable. I hate it when it does that. And we're going to kind of bring that around here. And then finally, this last one is coming around the hair curl when it comes. It'll be coming around the hair curl when it comes. It'll be humming around the hair curl, coming around the hair curl, coming around the hair curl when it comes. That in and of itself has made it look a lot more like hair, but that's not enough. Now this won't help for most things, Draconic. This will only help for long, scraggly hair. The Orb Cracks brush. It is a add-on. I don't remember off the top of my head if it's for pay or if it's free, but it's In any event, it is you can purchase it for or you can acquire it for commercial use. No fuzz but stay. And if it was for pay, it was cheap. All right, we're going to go to subtract, and we're going to start in. We're going to cut in. Whoa, that's right. We're going to go add because it goes backwards. We're going to kind of cut in. That's too big, too much. I'm just going to exaggerate. Thank you. Exaggerate these the spaces between them. And actually, that means that yeah, I do need to go back up in intensity and size. All right. Yeah. Anytime you turn on Lazy Mouse, because of how it handles it, you have to increase your intensity. And all we're doing was we're just exaggerating the distinction between the locks right now. The grooves between the hair is for people who do washes to make the hair. The peaks on the hair is for people who do dry brushing. So hair should work for both. Then coming along here. And bringing it there. Because there was that little nobule. And then bring it along here. Whoop. Bring it along here. Let's go from this side. That worked a lot better. And then kind of bring it down from here. And bring that there. And then it kind of comes under from here. Bring it from here down to there, and then here, and here. All right, that's the inner cuts. It's looking even more like hair right now, but we need to make it even better. Lazy Mouse is under the stroke menu. Right here. Turn on the orb cracks brush, by the way, is backwards. To add, it cuts in. To subtract, it pulls out. And now we're drawing on hairs. This is not every hair. And it needs to be distinct. What it is, it's the impression of the hairs. In the same way that what we were just doing was the impression excuse me, of locks. It has the basic form, the basic shapes that you would recognize as it. It doesn't need all of the exact details. Because yes, this troll might be 50 millimeters tall, but it's still a 32 or 28 scale miniature. That's yeah. And we're drawing on that hair. And we're getting it on. And it's looking better. Now you compare that to that. Are you getting it now? Orb crack brush is... Alright, I'm going to do a real quick explanation of orb crack brush. Slash is like this. It curves in. Oh, it curves in and cuts. It also draws in the geometry into it. Damn Standard kind of curves, but also has a bit of a rounded, it has a little bit of rounded, but it has some flat sides. It draws geometry in, but not as much. Orb crack, flat. That's the biggest difference between the three, and when to use which one is up to you. I tend to prefer orb crack for hair because it's a sharper divide. Slash for clothing. Damn Standard for random. By the way, Damn Standard used to be an add-on somebody made. And it became so ubiquitous that Pixelogic bought it from him. And they incorporated it into every version of ZBrush since. Now, not all of these hairs have to be fully done. You'll see I kind of paused there in the middle of the stroke. And this one. Long one there. Short one there. And then beep, 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 beep. Like right here will end about there. And then another one will start here because it's going under the pre-existing hair. This also is utterly useless when dealing with flat top, dreadlocks, extremely curly hair. This technique is only for pretty much straight, flowy hair. And there is our hair. Now, while I'm thinking about it, one other thing I've got to do is go back down to his cloth. And now I need to make this kind of raggedy. Oh, sorry. Sorry. Let me go ahead and show the hair first. There's the hair. But yeah, now I need to make the loincloth raggedy. Screenshot that, rewind the VOD, and look at the screenshot while listening to what I'm saying. And Where is it? There we go. Trim lasso. So what I'm going to do with the trim lasso is I'm going to kind of select random bits, and it should subtract them. And before I go any further, I'm going to save this. Okay. And then and while we're waiting on that, which will take a long time, so y'all haven't seen the club yet. The club is different, slightly. And I'm actually going to have to make 2 copies of it to do what I need to do on it. Nope, it's a tree club. But, maybe. Yep. Yep. Oh, apparently someone followed me while I was... I'm not getting the alert audio. Thank you to Poba Buyer. Yes, it does with a caveat. It's better to convert them from STL to OBJ first. It imports OBJ natively. It has to use a plugin to import STL. This is going to be a few, so I'm going to go ahead and go to the face cam again. Yeah, it natively works with OBJ as its best format. It can import STL, but it's not always perfect. So I prefer to convert from STL to OBJ before I bring it into ZBrush. Yeah, that's going to be a bit. Meanwhile, I did a dwarf. Yes, I painted a dwarf. I need to go back over the metallics with a gloss coat because dull coat kills many metallics. Yeah. Trying to this is actually one of the dwarves from the let me focus in on it so you can see it. Properties, configure video. I said configure video. Oh, there it is. Camera control. Auto on for now. And
phone call is here. A phone call is here. A phone call is here.
Now, this is a dwarf that I received in the survival kit by Reaper. It's itty bitty dwarf. Whoop, almost fell. And I've done my best on it. But I need to go over everything metal because dull coat tends to knock the reflectivity of metal away completely. And now that I've done that, I can now come back over here and properties, configure video, and turn that damn autofocus off. Okay, there we go. I'm done. And yeah, it's now frozen. ZBrush is. I overdid the erraticism for the loincloth. So anyway, OBJ format and STL format are both very, very old 3D model formats. We're talking 90s era. STL is short for stereolithography, and it was created for the earliest versions of 3D printing. You know, like the industrial 3D printing that was done to make a crude prototype back in the 90s. Whereas OBJ come from the completely opposite side of 3D, where STL was manufacturing and computer-aided design. OBJ was from Wavefront, which is by Alias. And Wavefront was one of the first movie-focused 3D modeling packages, and OBJ was its native geometry format. So, both of them found niches. STL found a niche as the output for when you convert CAD files to geometry. OBJ found a niche as a means of transferring between dedicated polygon modelers like 3D Studio Max or hello Carlton. Hey, what are you doing? Oh, Carlton, do you mind? That's because Reaper is not, it's not a resin, it's PVC, like PVC pipe. Bones material is a modified polyvinyl chloride. It is not exactly like a PVC pipe. It's got a different, and now I gotta singe you walking in front of me. Cats are being, no, I'm putting you on the floor, little buddy, okay? Yeah. Down you go. Okay. Anyway, whereas, yeah. So whereas the miniatures that come from Hero Forge are more like, well, I'm going to pull up this one simply because it's clear. Yeah, simply because it's not clear. Like the resin from a resin 3D printer. This stuff is very, very brittle. If I dropped it onto my table, it has a 50-50 shot of breaking off either the Warhammer or part of the shield. So, yeah. This stuff is very brittle. You know, as compared to, well, perfect example is yet another figure from the I got from the survival kit. This big old lizardy guy. He's PVC. No big deal. I just dropped him. He actually flipped up and landed on his base. He bounced off his head and landed on his base. If I did that with a resin print, it would shatter. There is a resin out there called Soraya Blue. Soraya Blue Clear. I know. It's what they call it. That actually is more durable, but it's not rubbery. It's still hard. Now, is it done yet? No. And ZBrush clashes. Bye-bye ZBrush. That's why I saved it. So we're going to restart ZBrush, and I'm going to go back into it, and I'm going to do a simpler cutout. It's actually faster to do several simple cuts than it is to do one big complex one, because the complexity exponentially increases the number of calculations needed. And I need to adjust the screen, and when I do, I'll be shifting over back to ZBrush from here. I'm not going to be on too much longer. I've got a lot I got to get done today. Let me go ahead and now program scene. Yay. Document new. No, I do not want to save changes. Load tool. Commissions. Monster. Sculpt. Trollbod. Okay. Frame into the thingy. And now we're going to trim lasso. And we're going to shrink this to 8 so I can see it. Okay, now we're going to start off. We're just going to cut a little bit off the side here. There. And then we're going to cut a little bit off of the corner here. See how much faster it is? And then we're going to cut in pretty deeply around that curve and in. And that should be all we need to do. Yes, it's doing it again. What do you mean, how was the stuff that Zeltaris printed? I'm confused. No, it didn't crash. It's just, it's got a 50-50 shot of finishing or not finishing. Until I see down on my taskbar not responding, it's got a chance of finishing. So it just might take a bit. There's a housefly in here. I'm surprised the cats aren't going insane. Anyway, what did you mean by the stuff that Zeltaris printed? I'm confused. That was me. That was a simple, basic me. Where did I put mine? Behind here? Nope. I don't know where my version is. He's somewhere around here. Nope. Nope. Oh well, I'll look later. Right now I'm starting to twist back around. I designed the cherub, yeah. But they each printed it on their own. And it says not responding. Yeah, I'm going to have to come back to that. Let's, once again, start ZBrush. Click. Wait for it to load. And first, let's check to see did it autosave. No. So we're gonna load tool. And this time I am going to save after every darn trim that I make, so I don't lose any of this. And let me go ahead and pop over to program scene again. No, what it is, I designed it. I created the STL file. I then gave the STL file to Zeltaris so that he could sculpt one for both Dices and Captain Madlove. Then, a couple months later, I put them up online for download on a site called Thingiverse. Okay, now let's try it again. Bam. This should cut. That cut. Save as. Save. Yes. Okay, now come back over this way. Rotate it again. Move. Let's bring it to there. And then we're going to trim off the corner. Okay. Now comes the part that crashed me twice. I'm going to do just one of them at a time. Cutting in deeply like that. Oh! What the heck was that? Alright, let's try it again like this. What? Okay, that's a problem. I have never sculpted in Onshape. I'm not even sure Onscape is sculpting. Are you sure that's not a CAD? Because you don't sculpt in a CAD. Alright, what we're going to do is we're going to take the Move tool. And we're going to bring it pretty sharp focal shift. And we're just going to kind of erratically bring that in. Yeah, CADs are not the same as sculpting. That's good enough. That gives us a nice raggedy look. Let's make the body visible again. And there we go. We got a nice raggedy loincloth there. We do need to move it. Oh, thank you, Zealous. We do need to move the loincloth deeper in, so we're going to make the move tool bigger again. We're going to pull it under the belt. And there we go. Now the last thing we need to do is we need to give him a buckle on his belt just to say hello to Peleus. So I have one in this set of props that I've made. These are all basic geometry props that I made for the purposes of insert mesh. Now we're going to put it on the hip here where it's nice and clear and easy to get to. And I'm going to hit Control Z because I forgot to change the depth of it. And then click and drag down. And we're going to then move it up. Drag it down and move it up because we want the tail there to be roughly the same width as the rest of the belt. There we go. And then a U to take it out to separate it. That pressing U to separate a selected item is something I added. It's a hotkey I added because it's something that I do so often that having a hotkey for it made it so much better than not. Okay, let's frame out. Okay, now the last thing to deal with is the club. This club has a it and a second trunk that was also broken off. And I'm going to be adding roots to the back end. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to subdivide this until it's quite a few polygons. Let's make it one more. And then we're going to Dynamesh it at 1600 because I'm going to be doing a lot of detail work on it. Okay. Now, shrink the mouse so I can smooth out this whole bit here. There. And then here. And then here. Alright, and then just to clear off those there. Now, before we do anything else, I need to break the handle. And I'm going to do that with, yes, there. Then turn this way, turn off the body, because I don't need the body for this. And then we're going to give it a little bit of a razzmatazz there. Okay. Now, we're going to duplicate it at this point. And hide everything else, including the duplicate. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to cut the crack that the sword is in. So we're going to cut the crack in. We're going to be using the Orb Cracks brush because that's the sharpest tool, which loads in. There it is, Orb Cracks. Shrink it. Bring stroke over there. Make it deep because it's going to be very deep. And yes. Whoop. You okay, baby girl? Are you okay? Alright, come on. Come on, baby girl. Are you okay? There you go. Good girl. Hey, Danny, what's up? Alright. So, we're going to make sure to turn that lazy mouse radius up. We're going to start off with a really deep, strong cut around the sword. That fades away and also comes around this way. That didn't work. It's gotta, let's make it deeper and smaller. Okay. On this side, it's not quite as deep or as wide, so we're going to make it even deeper though, because we need to make it look like a crack all the way through. That's not going to be mistaken for... Oh, yeah. Okay. Now, let's smooth that. And then come back down this way. Yeah. And then we're going to kind of bring it down like that. So it looks like it's actually jammed through there. The next thing that we're going to do, though, is we're going to put straps around it. We'll do that after we make our roots. We're going to make our roots with the snake hook brush. Excellent. Have you ever heard of the Rainbow Warriors? If you said no, I wouldn't be surprised, because even most Games Workshop fans haven't. The Rainbow Warriors were one of the first Space Marine chapters actually listed in any rulebook. But that's all we got. It was in the Rogue Trader book. And every other chapter in that list eventually got something cool. Except for the Rainbow Warriors. Everyone else eventually got their own separate army list. Were important enough to have their own Primarch. Except for the Rainbow Warriors. And there we go. So, yeah. They're the red-headed stepchildren of the Empire. They got one throwaway mention in an early book. Something about them being extraordinarily xenophobic. Even worse than normal Space Marines. So next we're going to go up, we're going to use the rake tool. We're going to make it a bit bigger and lower the intensity and add Lazy Mouse to make bark. So there's not a lot down on the thing, so it starts up light and then just kind of... Okay, we're going to need to do one other thing to that. We're going to need to increase or decrease the lazy step to 0.05 or 0.01. We're going to need to increase the intensity to about there, and then we're going to need to decrease the size. Also, let's get rid of Lazy Mouse entirely and decrease the intensity. Yeah. This is supposed to be tree bark, not wood grain, so that's why it's a bit more lumpy. It's also why we're going to be able to make it a bit more erratic in size and give us some more organic shapes. Whoop. I mean, you can see that right there. It's getting a really nice, lumpy, erratic shape and size to it. That's looking like actual tree bark. Yeah, my homebrew is actually, I think I've mentioned them before. They're the worm breakers, red and charcoal gray. And with their stick is that they swear up and down that they're a successor chapter to the salamanders. But there's no imperial record of anything but they were in a given founding, so nobody knows who their chapter of origin really was. I mean, for all anybody knows, their chapter of origin could have been the Grey Knights. But their whole big thing is they're like the salamanders. They're from a volcanic world. Now what's going to happen here is once I get closer to the handle, I'm going to lower this intensity so that it's happening but not as intensely, because the hands need to be able to grasp it. And now the next thing is I'm gonna mask off there and there and all the way down, and then I'm gonna blur it. I'm gonna look down, straight down the middle, switch to layer, drag dot, subtract, and I'm going to change the alpha because I've got an alpha that I've done here that is, where did I put it? No, did I put it under here? Maybe, if these will all load. Somewhere I have an alpha of wood grain from a cross section, and that's not it. It's not in there. No, 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 no. Where did I put it? Bum, 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 bum. No. Oh well. I'll have to do it the old-fashioned way, which is use the damn standard brush to draw in the tree rings, which I can now do without that. And that's with a much smaller brush than this. A much larger, or somewhat larger lazy radius, and a much smaller lazy step. And increase that intensity. Actually, we can go ahead and turn off. Yes, I am. I am logging off in about, very shortly, because I'm almost done with it. I just gotta kind of, let's increase that a lot. And I'm basically just gonna draw on what will be the tree rings. Here and on the lower branch. This is his club, by the way. Alright. Get over. Yes. Get over there. Good girl. Alrighty, and then let's bring this back around. And frame out so we can show you what we got so far for the club. That is our club. As for the rest of him, the troll is here. He is scaled to fit on a 50mm base because that's size large in D&D, 2x2. I'm pretty much done with him now, right as you get in. Let me go ahead and delete that duplicate I had made. And all that's left is basically fusing them together. I'm going to assume he's going to have just a very basic, like, rocky ground base. No real detail on it besides that. And yes, his knuckles are on the ground. That gives him that dynamic, forward-leaning, he's off balance, but he's not really. Yeah, exactly. One of these days, I'm somewhere on my YouTube channel, which is not under this. I think I've got it linked down below. I've got a couple of videos about sculpting, and one of them deals with posing and about dynamism and what makes something feel like it's in motion and what makes something feel like it's static. For example, if this arm had been hitting the ground here, it would have felt more like he was crouched and ready to start running. But with it being behind, it's got a lunging feel to it. Things like the plane of the shoulders and the plane of the hips should never be parallel to each other or the ground. Anyway. Just to show you, file save as scene controller one. All right. See my normal human here. See my normie. Beer. There he is. Brr. Just like I have the Minotaur body and head. So yeah, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna out soon because it's 4 o'clock now, and after my game, I'm not sure what's all going on, but I will be back on tomorrow to do the next couple, probably the next 3 if I can get a Minotaur skull done properly. But he's got a couple scars, like he's got a scar from a bite mark here. It's old and kind of sunken in. A couple on his bicep, a fresh wound on his shoulder, and a couple scars on his legs and forearm that are old and bulging out, or new rather, and bulging out. And of course, he's got all those pustules or scutes. Yeah, so far just got the troll, but I've also got the base mesh I'm going to be using for the hell dog, and I've already got a morph for a Minotaur body and head, and 2 different bodies. One has the digidegrade legs for any potential other tribe Minotaurs. But yeah, so far it's just this. But I had to make the club from scratch, and of course then there's tweak. I crashed ZBrush. What was it, twice? Trying to make this loincloth jagged. Well, I said I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to make a single basic base, and then just rotate it 90 degrees depending on which figure is on the base to subtract their footprints and or knuckle prints. Go ahead and save this, and bam. You'll notice I'm very bright red right now. Maybe. I can kind of see it. But anyway. I was looking at the troll. Anyway, I have 6 people watching. And I'm gonna go ahead and who should I... Feline interruption. Who should I raid? Let's raid Nalindi. So when I hit the raid button, we're gonna go, so I can unmute and I can hear what happens when we go boop. So
iconic vision. Thank you so much for that follow. Welcome